It ain't the left side or the right side, then it must be the FinSide. It ain't the left side.
Thank you, Solo D. Welcome to another episode of On the FinSide here with Kat and Paul. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Spreaker, iTunes, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. I'm Brian Cat NFL. Paul is Fanatic_Pick on Twitter. We're continuing to make our way through the Dolphins 2020 draft class. Here in the fifth round, the Dolphins trade up for Boise State defensive end Curtis Weaver, a player that has been a terror for opposing quarterbacks over the last several years. I mean, 34 sacks over the last 3 years, 47.5 tackles for loss. One of the more interesting guys in terms of body type and personality in this draft. But Paul, again, another player that we expected to go somewhere in that second or third round area, and the Dolphins are sitting there at the bottom of the fifth round, and they see an opportunity to trade up a little bit to secure Curtis Weaver, even though they just drafted Jason Strobridge from North Carolina.
Yeah, I was going to say, this was probably the death knell in the Taco, Harris, Charlton fiasco combination. I mean, not the most athletic guy on the planet, but, you know, you look at Kyle Van Noy. Kyle Van Noy is not the most athletic guy on the planet, but he's a straight-up football player that wreaks havoc over there on the edge. He's a stand-up DN. He's the Mountain West, I think, all-time leader in sacks. Guy earned freshman All-American honors at a pretty good level with Boise State. So this was like candy on top after getting, the trade for Matt Breida and Jason Strobridge early in the round. Miami started addressing one of the things I really wanted to see from them.
Yeah, I mean, incredible value at this spot. And another reason he's an interesting guy is for a reason you said there, Paul, is because even though he is this dumpy-looking 6'2", 265-pound end that should, you'd think have his hand in the dirt or be playing on the interior, he is in a stand-up outside linebacker position all the time. So I'm really fascinated to see what's going to happen when he gets into the NFL. He gets NFL coaching, and he gets in a little bit more of a scheme fit for him. He reminds me a lot of former Tennessee Titan Derek Morgan, and that, no, he's not going to wow you with his speed, but he just has a relentless motor to get to the quarterback, and he's got thick hips, and he's able to play with a lot of power to his game when he wants to get to the quarterback.
I would say he's got a little bit of thump, which I love, and he plays with a good amount of instinct, which you need when you're, sometimes the athleticism can win, sometimes the instinct and IQ can win. And he's one of those players where the instinct and IQ have a tendency to win a lot. And I really like the fact that between him and Strobridge, they added a couple of guys that can really terrorize passers, which with the young quarterbacks kicking around in the AFC East right now, that's 6 games a year minimum against young quarterbacks that, with the secondary Miami has, with his instincts, he's going to have the opportunity to get to the quarterback.
13.5 sacks and 19.5 tackles for loss this past year in the Mountain West. And, I listened to PFF's podcasts for the draft, and they swear by this guy. And even though a lot of people had him as a second or third round pick heading into the draft, PFF had him as their 22nd overall player in the entire draft. And for people can say what they want about PFF, but they've done a great job over the last 8 or 9 years at predicting these pass rushers. So in terms of production, he's somebody that you want there coming to work every day for you.
Yeah, and to expand on PFF, it was a very, very quick release that he was absolutely and by far the steal of the entire NFL draft when Miami took him there at the end of the 5th round.
And we certainly hope that that's the case. And again, in this positionless type defense, I'm not saying Weaver's going to be covering wide receivers down the seam, but you're not sure where this guy's going to line up. He could play with his hand in the dirt as a 3-4 end. He can move inside on a 4-man front. He has the body type to be able to do that. So again, the whole message this offseason with this defensive front is you have so many guys that bring a lot of versatility to the position. You've got Shaq Lawson and Agba on the outside who could set the edge. You don't know where Weaver's going to line up. You've got Strobridge, who looks like a 3-4 defensive end. Kyle Van Noy roaming around in the linebacker corps. So, yeah, I mean, I think we're going to be looking back at last year and saying, man, I mean, I can't believe Charles Harris and Taco Charlton and Avery Moss were playing so many snaps.
I agree. And I think they've drastically improved the players that are going to be playing a lot of snaps this during this offseason for next season. There's been a drastic improvement over Taco Charlton, Charles Harris, Avery Moss, Zach Sealer, as much as I like the guy. God, too many names to name at this point, and I think he was a huge one. And given the fact that I think we both had him as a second or third rounder, and PFF had him so high, and everywhere had him so high, and Miami was able to get him in the late fifth round, I've got to give this an A+. This was a steal by Chris Greer. It was grand theft, and I love it. I love every second of it.
Their fifth round was incredible. I'm going to give this an A. I mean, this incredible value at this point. If you had told me even a couple months ago that the Dolphins in the fifth round were going to come away with Curtis Weaver, Jason Strobridge, and Matt Breida with those selections, I would have said you're absolutely crazy. And they did, and kudos to them for that. And that's going to do it for our breakdown of Curtis Weaver, the Boise State defensive end. As we continue to make our way through these Dolphins draft prospects, you can follow Paul and I on Facebook, Twitter, Spreaker, iTunes, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and on Spotify. Check out our merch store on thefinside.threadless.com. And if it's not on the right side and it's not on the left side, it is on the fin side. So, Ladie, take us home.
It ain't the left side or the right side, and it must be the fin side. It ain't the left side or the right side, and it must be the fin side. Listen, Dolphins fans across the land all tuning in to see what Brian Cat and